What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we finally got the reveal of Season 4 Reloaded. We got a full blog post and roadmap here, which is cutting it pretty close. This is actually coming in just 2 days on July 12th. And normally we would have expected this like later in the week last week, so a little bit late with this one. And with this, they showed off a crossover with the boys where we get access to 3 new operators to buy, not earn. We got a good look and overview at the Vondel Waterfront multiplayer map that's coming, which is a section of Vondel, but they have heavily modified it for multiplayer. And also they showed off the MX Guardian shotgun, which is going to be full auto. So without further ado, let's dive right into it, and let's start this off with that crossover event. So with this, like I said, we're going to be seeing 3 operators coming from the boys. We've got Homelander, Starlight, as well as Black Noir. And honestly, this isn't super surprising. With the Season 4 updates, they teased a collaboration with the boys, and then there have been some leaks that indicated that we'd be seeing these operators. To me, the big thing that really stood out with this, though, is Black Noir is completely blacked out, of course. And this has me thinking he's almost definitely going to be the next Rose skin in Call of Duty. If you guys remember from back in Warzone 1, the Rose skin was completely blacked out, and this skin would actually provide a fairly noticeable gameplay advantage because she really blended into dark environments, especially on the Warzone maps. I'm not too sure how much of an issue this is going to end up being in multiplayer. I'm sure there will be a few problem areas at least where this skin's going to end up blending in super well. But my biggest concern with this is for the Warzone players out there. I do suspect this Black Noir skin is going to be just like the Rose skin was back in the day. And if that ends up being the case, this is going to be a pay-to-win bundle. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the boys crossover if you're a multiplayer player. However, if you do play Warzone, they're also going to be giving you Temp V, which is like the superhero field upgrade bonuses that are going to randomly spawn in Warzone modes. However, they won't be available in ranked Warzone. So I guess that's cool for the Warzone players, but doesn't really do anything for the players that play the paid version of the game. Next up, with Season 4 Reloaded, we're getting another one of those Camo Challenge events, which I actually really appreciate these events. It gives us at least something to work toward for those players that like to do that and have already earned Orion and there's just not much else for them to work for. With this, we're going to have the Diabolico Camo Challenges, and here are a list of the Camo Challenges here. Looks like a pretty good mix of a wide variety of different challenge types like headshots, kills from behind, prone kills, suppressor kills, mounted kills. You name it, there's probably a challenge for it within this, and I actually think that's quite nice to have. Now let's talk about Vondel Waterfront, because we got our proper teaser trailer for this, showing the actual multiplayer map. If you guys remember, last week I did a little bit of a walkthrough of the Waterfront area on Vondel, kind of showing off the general layout and what we can kind of expect to see with the map. However, I did have some questions about how they were going to handle certain areas, because they obviously wouldn't play well for multiplayer, and now we finally have answers to those. So let's have a look at the overhead view of this map as well as the boundaries. And the one big interesting thing here that I was curious about is whether or not they'd be utilizing the street side that's on the right side of the map as you're looking at it now. And it looks like they are utilizing that, and they have added proper pieces of cover which don't exist on the Vondel Warzone map. So that's really going to open things up on this map and make it a proper 3-lane design. Additionally, I was curious about whether or not they'd be including any of the rooftops, and as far as we can see from this trailer and the various angles they've shown, they are completely cutting off all rooftop access, which is excellent to see because I think that would introduce a little too much verticality, and with too much verticality, that can often discourage a lot of movement around the map. So like with this blue building, for instance, they completely eliminated the staircase that would normally go up on this side of the building up to the rooftop, and that's excellent. Also in this building here on the left side of the screen, there was a staircase that would come all the way down to the bottom level there, and they've eliminated that so you can't get on the rooftop of this building. So that's all good news. And then very interestingly, with the underwater area, if you go onto the Vondel DMZ map or Warzone map and you go underwater, you can basically see clean across this map from any angle underwater. There's no underwater cover. Whereas on the multiplayer version of this map, it looks like they've made it into proper lanes and corridors underwater, and I think that's great as well to keep things a lot more controlled when it comes to that underwater play. And like I said in that video, I'm actually looking forward to having another map that has some underwater play in it. Because even though I don't absolutely love the underwater combat and I wouldn't want it to be a part of every map in the game, at this point we still only have one map that properly utilizes the water play, and it is nice to see at least one more map added in rotation that will take advantage of those underwater mechanics, and I'm actually quite happy to see that. Now, one last note I wanted to point out here is a lot of the cover placements on this map are totally different from the Warzone experience. There's actually a big wall here that would cut off a line of sight that would essentially go spawn to spawn on the dock level, and I think that's great. Also, right in the middle of the map, right by where the B flag is, they've added some cover placement there that doesn't exist on the Vondel Waterfront map. And that's excellent to see, because that was another big concern I had just exploring this map in Vondel, is it didn't look like there was very much cover mid-map, and it seemed like it would be far too dangerous to ever want to cross that mid-map area, but now it looks like we'll be able to do that properly. So honestly, after seeing this little trailer of Vondel Waterfront, I think this map's actually looking very promising. I've seen a lot of people criticize this, saying it's literally just a copy and paste from Warzone and it's so lazy that they did this. But honestly, if you really take a close look at the adjustments they've made here, it looks like this wasn't just a literal lazy copy-paste job. We can already see a ton of really good changes that they've made here that should make this into a much better experience for multiplayer. There are a ton of things to be upset with when it comes to Modern Warfare 2, but when it comes to this one, I don't quite get it. I think this is a case of a lot of people being so frustrated with the game in many areas that they no longer look at individual things objectively, and in this case, they don't recognize all these changes that they've clearly made to the map in order to make it play well for multiplayer. Which I kind of get, like you can get caught up in like this game is absolute trash, so therefore everything that comes out about it must be absolute trash. But I do think it's important to look at things objectively and make sure we're complaining about things that are actually real. And in this particular case, I think they've made a ton of very good changes based on what we can see so far. It's very obvious this wasn't just a lazy copy-paste job when it comes to this map. And I'm actually looking forward to playing Vondel Waterfront. I think it's shaping up to be quite a solid map. Now, unfortunately, a new map can really only go so far as to like breathing life into the game. I'm sure I'm going to have some fun with this for a gaming session or two, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to any gameplay changes or fixes with the game, particularly with that UAV bug, because that bug is really getting on my nerves at this point. It's one of the big things that's holding me back from playing this game, because almost every match now is a massive snowball in either direction, and honestly, I don't find that fun on either side of it. Even on the winning team, when you're just fighting your teammates over basically free kills, because you can see all the enemies in real time on the minimap, because you have a steady stream of UAVs, that's not really an enjoyable experience. And then obviously on the other side of that, it's not very fun either. And they still haven't even acknowledged that one, so I guess we'll have to wait and find out. They did mention in the blog post that patch notes will be coming closer to the update, so expect that in the next couple days, but that's going to be the big thing that determines my level of excitement for this update. But one last thing to cover here is, with this mid-season update, we are getting the new shotgun, which is the MX Guardian shotgun, and just like I suspected, even though this is based on the Tavor TS12, like the model is clearly the Tavor TS12, this gun is going to be full auto in-game. In fact, they actually mentioned you can go between different fire modes. I don't know if this requires a different attachment or anything, but it looks like you can use it semi-auto, full auto, or even in a burst mode. And it's nice to see they're at least making this interesting and different from the current shotguns that are already in the game. So there we go. That's going to wrap it up for what we can expect to see, at least content-wise, when it comes to Season 4 Reloaded. Like I said, patch notes should be coming within the next day or two. And with that, this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What are you thinking about the Season 4 Reloaded update based on what we can see so far? Are you guys excited for the crossover with the boys? Do you think that Black Noir skin is going to be the next Rose skin in-game? And what are your thoughts on Vondel Waterfront? Do you guys think this is going to be a pretty solid multiplayer map, or not so much? Just let me know all of the thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.